Hello all shining stars. This is Aprajita here with a series of Aarchis by Heavens Publishing House. And today we'll start with class 6, chapter 7, My School Days. So let's see what all is there inside this. Let's do some brainstorming, some warming up exercise. What do you do in free time? Now, list at least 5 things that you want to do but cannot do because of lack of time. Yes, everybody is very busy and we get very less time to do something very creative, very interesting, and whatever we like. But then also, if we get some free time, what would you like to do? So this is all your creativity, all your thoughts, whatever you want to do, please write down here and let's see what all comes from you. So moving ahead. Now about this lesson. This lesson is an extract from Mahatma Gandhi's autobiography, in which he describes the childhood days, how he spent his childhood days. Mahatma Gandhi was a very great leader of India, everybody knows this. And on account of his school days, he was very truthful, he never spoke lies, but then also he was punished even after telling the truth. Let's see how. I must have been about 7 when my father left Porbandar for Rajkot. They were staying in Porbandar and his father left for Rajkot. There I was put into a primary school and I can well recollect those days. From Porbandar, when they shifted to Rajkot, there Mahatma Gandhi was put in a primary school. Including the names and other particulars of teachers who taught me, he could very well recollect all those names who had taught. As at Porbandar, so here, there is hardly anything to note about my studies. Now, Mahatma Gandhi says there was nothing as such to note down about my studies. I could only have been a mediocre student. Mahatma Gandhi was an average student. Mediocre means an average student. From this school I went to the suburban school and thence to the high school, having already reached my 12th year. And where he's talking about? He's talking about Rajkot, where they had shifted. I do not remember having ever told a lie. Mahatma Gandhi says that I never ever had told a lie. I don't remember that any day I had told a lie. During this short period, either to my teachers or to my schoolmates, I used to be very shy and avoided all company. He was very shy. He loved to be isolated, like he loved to remain alone. My books and my lessons were my sole companions. He loved to be with his books and his whatever readings, lessons he had, he used to be with that only. To be at school at the stroke of an hour and to run back home as soon as the school closed, that was my daily habit. He used to come to school on time and when the bell used to ring, he used to go back. This was his routine. I literally ran back because I could not bear to talk to anybody. He was very shy. He hardly talked to anybody, so he ran back home. I was even afraid lest anyone should poke fun at me. Now he was afraid of this also, that if somebody makes fun of him, so he used to run back home. There is an incident which occurred at the examination during my first year at the high school and which is worth recording. Now see what interesting happened. Mr. Giles, the educational inspector had come on a visit of inspection. There was a person, Mr. Gans, he was an educational inspector and he came for an inspection in the school. He had set us 5 words to write as a spelling exercise. Now he gave the children 5 words to write as a spelling exercise, or rather you can say dictation. One of the words was kettle. I had misspelled it. Now, one word was, out of 5, one word was kettle, and Gandhiji had misspelled it. The teacher tried to prompt me with the point of his boot, but I would not be prompted. It was beyond me to see that he wanted me to copy the spelling from my neighbor's slate, for I had thought that the teacher was there to supervise us. Now, what happened? When he misspelled that, the teacher who was on invigilation there, he tried to prompt that word to Gandhiji, and he said that you can copy down from your neighbor's slate. But Gandhiji was a very truthful person. He never wanted to do this, and moreover he thought that this teacher is here to supervise us against copying, that he should stop us from copying. But no, he was just provoking him to copy down. The result was that all the boys except myself were found to have spelt every word correctly, because other students, they followed the teacher, they looked here and there and they copied down, but Gandhiji was the only student who didn't do that. So he had not wrote that word correctly. Other students had written all the words correctly. Only I had been stupid. The teacher tried later to bring this stupidity home to me, but without effect. I never could learn the art of copying. The teacher, he told at home also, the parents of Mahatma Gandhi, that he had done this, but with no effect. Because Gandhiji was against copying. He couldn't copy anyway. My studies were continued. I was not regarded as a dunce at the high school. I always enjoyed the affection of my teachers, because he was very shy, very calm student, so everybody loved him. Certificates of progress and character used to be sent to the parents every year. Every year, as you all get the result is sent to your home. So he also used to get those certificates of progress and character. I never had a bad certificate. He never used to have any bad certificate because he was a very good, very obedient child. In fact, I even won prizes after I passed out of the 2nd standard. In the 5th and 6th, I obtained scholarships of rupees 4 and 10 respectively. At that time, 4 rupee, 10 rupee, 20 rupees, these rupees had very value. They had a great value. So he got the scholarship of these rupees also. My own recollection is that I had not any high regards for my ability. I used to be astonished whenever I won prize and scholarships, because he himself felt that he was a very average child, and when he used to get scholarships and the prizes, he was very surprised himself only. But I very jealously guarded my character. The least little blemish drew tears from my eyes when I merited or seemed to the teacher to merit a rebuke. It was unbearable for me. Now, because Gandhiji was very truthful, so when he saw that any child who is not up to the mark and that child was being merited, he was very sad when he saw that. I remember having once received corporal punishment. Yes, he got punishment also. I did not so much mind the punishment as the fact that it was considered my desert. I did not not mind. Okay, he got punishment, fine. I wept piteously. That was when I was in the first or second standard. In first or second standard, he got mass punishment. There was another such incident during the time when I was in the 7th standard. The Rabji Edilzi Gibi was the headmaster then. The Rabji Edilzi Gibi was the headmaster of the school. He was popular among boys as he was a disciplinary, a man of method and a good teacher. So everybody liked him very much. He had made gymnastics and cricket compulsory for boys of the upper standards. Gymnastics and cricket was compulsory for the higher students, higher class students. I disliked both. Gandhiji disliked both the games. I never took part in any exercise, cricket or football, before they were made compulsory. He never used to participate in any of them. My shyness was one of the reasons for this aloofness. Why he used to do like this? Because he was very shy, which I now see was wrong. Yes, afterwards he felt, when he grew up, he felt that yes, this was wrong. Whatever he did, that was wrong. I then had the false notion that gymnastics had nothing to do with education. He used to think, what this gymnastics and this football, cricket, all these things have to do with education. Today I know that physical training should have as much place in the curriculum as mental training. Along with the academics, the co-curricular activities are very necessary for a student. I may mention, however, that I was none the worse of abstaining from exercise. He was the only student who used to hate exercise, doing exercise. He never loved doing exercises. That was because I had read in books about the benefits of long walks in the open air, and having liked the advice, I had formed a habit of taking walks, which has still remained with me. Now, Gandhiji somewhere read that the long walks are very useful for a human being. So he had adopted that habit and he used to go on long walks, which he had with him lifelong. These walks gave me a fairly hardy constitution. The reason of my dislike for gymnastics was my keen desire to serve as nurse to my father. Now, he disliked gymnastics. As soon as the school closed, I would hurry home and begin serving him. Because he used to, what happened when gymnastics started, he had to stay there in the school, and he wanted to go home and serve his father, help his father. So he used to, just after the school was over, he used to run back home and started helping his father. Compulsory exercises came directly in the way of this service. I requested Mr. Gibi to exempt me from gymnastics so that I might be free to serve my father. But he would not listen to me. He requested his teacher to exempt him from the gymnastics so that he could serve his father, but Mr. Gibi was not at all ready to do this. He didn't exempt Gandhiji from gymnastics. Now it so happened that one Saturday when we had school in the morning, I had to go from home to the school for gymnastics at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. Now, one Saturday he had to go to school for gymnastics practice at 4 o'clock. I had no watch and the clouds deceived me. He didn't have any watch and the clouds also deceived him. How? Before I reached the school, the boys had all left. So when he reached home, he saw that nobody was there. When he reached school, he saw nobody was there for gymnastics practice. The next day, Mr. Gimme, examining the roll, found me marked absent. Yes, he was not there for the gymnastics practice, so he was marked absent. Being asked the reason for absence, I told him what had happened. Because he was a very truthful person, he told whatever happened, why he was not able to come. He refused to believe me and ordered me to pay a fine of 1 or 2 annas. The teacher was not convinced with whatever he said, and he said, you have to pay a fine. I was convicted of lying. That deeply pained me. Why it pained? Because he was not lying. Gandhiji told the truth. How was I to prove my innocence? He thought, how should I prove my innocence that I am telling the truth? There was no way. I cried in deep anguish. I saw that a man of truth must also be a man of care. This was the first and last instance of my carelessness in school. Now, this gave him a lesson that if a person is truthful, he should be careful also. He should take care of the time and everything, whatever has to be done on time. I have a faint recollection that I finally succeeded in getting the fine remitted. Now, the fine which was being put on him for not coming in gymnastics practice, that was remitted. The exemption from exercise was of course obtained, as my father wrote himself to the headmaster saying that he wanted me at home after school. So, he was exempted from the exercise practice, as his father himself wrote to the principal that he wanted Gandhiji back home just after the school. But though I was none the worse for having neglected exercise, I am still paying the penalty of another neglect. So, he never used to exercise, so he had to pay the penalty. I do not know whence I got the notion that good handwriting was not a necessary part of education. Gandhiji used to think that a person doesn't need a good handwriting for having this should not be a part of education. A good handwriting would never be a part of education. I was ashamed of myself and repented on my neglect. After some time, he was really ashamed of thinking like this. I saw that bad handwriting should be regarded as a sign of an imperfect education. Bad handwriting, he said, should always be seen as an imperfect education. I tried later to improve mine, but it was too late. So, why each and every day the teachers say the students write very neatly, very cleanly, because if you have a bad handwriting from your childhood, when you grow up, you will not be able to improve your handwriting. So, from the childhood only a person should practice a good handwriting. Because a good handwriting is always, it shows a character of a person. And whenever a teacher is correcting any student's notebook or something like that, if the writing is not good, the teacher will not be able to understand what the student has written. Maybe the thing written rightly is marked wrong. I could never repair the neglect of my youth, because in his youth, he used to believe that a good handwriting is not necessary. Let every young man and woman be warned by my example. Now, everybody should learn from Gandhiji's example and understand that good handwriting is a necessary part of education. I am now of opinion that children should first be taught the art of drawing before learning how to write. A child should always know how to draw first, and after that he or she should start writing. Let the child learn his letters by observation as he does different objects such as flowers, birds, etc. A small child always observes the objects first. Before observing the letters, the child observes the object, different objects like flowers, birds, trees, etc. And when he observes that, after that he should start writing. And let him learn handwriting only after he has learned to draw objects. He will then write a beautifully formed handwriting. Because if the child has observed the objects and similarly he has observed the alphabets also, he will be able to write a beautiful handwriting. So this was the autobiography of Mahatma Gandhi. This is an extract of his autobiography. Now let's see what model we have got. What is the model of this story? Here, discipline of a student's life attracts all right things. If a child is disciplined, the child will be loved by everybody. He will develop a very good character and he will get success in his life. In a student's life, the discipline is always catered as a guide to focus on their goals. If they are disciplined, they'll always be able to focus on their goals. A disciplined student focuses on his goals and his mind does not wonder about other useless things. If a person is disciplined, he will always be focused towards his goal, rather going here and there doing useless things. Now let's see what we have learned from this chapter and what all we'll just recall. Take the correct answer. Gandhiji completed schooling in, I think you all remember, they shifted from Porbandar to Rajkot, and in Rajkot only he completed all his schooling. So the answer is Rajkot. In school, he was, so we all know how was Gandhiji in school. He was a very shy student. As a student, he was an average student. An average student is called a mediocre. He was mediocre. He guarded his jealousy. He guarded his character jealously. He made up for his lack of exercise by, now, what was the other option which he found? Rather doing the exercise, he found walking, long walking. So he made up his lack of exercise by walking. Now moving ahead, fill in the blanks. Gandhiji was a mediocre student. Gandhiji was which type of student was Gandhiji? He was very shy. And dash all company. Gandhiji was very shy, and what he did? He avoided all the company. Dash was the education inspector. Who was the education inspector? Mr. Gayal. Gandhiji could never learn the art of, Gandhiji never used to copy anybody. So he never learned the art of copying. dash repented of his neglect. What repented of his neglect? He used to neglect what? Who repented of his neglect? Gandhiji himself repented of his neglect. Now write true or false. Gandhiji's books and lessons were his sole companions. Yes, very true, because he never used to sit in any company. He never liked that, and he just liked to live with his books and his lessons. So this is true. Gandhiji wrote the spelling of kettle correct. No, this was the only word which he misspelled. So this is false. Gandhiji mastered the art of copying. Never ever. Gandhiji never liked to copy. So this is also false. Good handwriting is a necessary part of education. Yes. This Gandhiji realized afterwards. Previously he also used to think that good handwriting is not necessary. But yes, good handwriting is a necessary part of education. True. Physical training is not important in the school curriculum. Is it so? Not at all. Along with the academics, the physical training is very necessary. So it should be a part of school curriculum also. So this is false. Now, let's see the questions which have been put up here. Answer the following questions. Describe two significant characteristics, traits of Gandhiji as a child. As a child, how was Gandhiji? Can anybody recall how he was? He was very shy. The first trait is he was shy. And the second thing was, he was very truthful. Shy and truthful. What happened when Mr. Giles came on an inspection? When Mr. Giles came on an inspection, what he did? He gave 5 words to the students to write. What characteristic trait of Gandhiji does the episode of Mr. Giles highlight? What happened when Mr. Giles came? He gave 5 words to write and somehow Gandhiji misspelled kettle. So the teacher on duty, he said Gandhiji to copy down from his neighbor, but Gandhiji was not at all ready to do that. So what characteristic traits does it show? That Gandhiji was very truthful. He never ever copied down from anyone. So he never had that trait of copying down. He never copied down anyone. Why did Gandhiji avoid physical training? He avoided physical training because just after the school, he wanted to go home and help out his father. So he used to run home just after the school was over. According to Gandhiji, how is good handwriting related to education? Good handwriting is how it's related to education, because if the handwriting is not good, as I told you earlier also, if you write the right thing also, and if anybody is not able to read it, so it will be marked wrong. So writing is the very important part of your education. Do you think Gandhiji's school days are the model of an ideal childhood? Give reasons for your answer. Was Gandhiji an ideal student? No, he was not an ideal student because he used to avoid many things. He was shy. Yes, he was truthful. There were many good characteristics also in Gandhiji, but not an ideal one. Because in an ideal student, what characteristics should be there? The student should be ready to participate or to do anything it comes in front of him. As Gandhiji avoided physical training, he avoided gymnastics. He never used to enjoy the training, the gymnastics, the exercises, and he just had his companions were books and lessons, his lessons. So he was not an idle student. An idle student should be obedient, truthful. He should help others. He should be very active. He should, along with the academics, the students should also participate in co-curricular activities which Gandhiji avoided. So this is not an example of this. He is not a model of an idle child there. So the moral of the story is very clear, that we should be very obedient. If as a student we see Gandhiji here, as a student we should always be truthful, obedient. It has been explained many a times in the chapter. And we should always be ready, a student should always be ready to do whatever comes in his life, in his school days. He should be a total idle student. He should perform very nicely, and yes, truthfulness is very necessary. Be it Gandhiji was being punished for his truthfulness, but then also we should take a lesson that we should always be truthful, and we should always enjoy the company of everybody, and all the things we should enjoy academically also, we should enjoy co-curricularly also. So, thank you so much. I hope you enjoyed the lesson. So, see you again. Bye-bye.